Hey guys, welcome to AKK, All Kinds of Classics. I'm Fred Kynes. I'm going to make a commercial video on another project here. So we're in the middle of the 1930 Chrysler product here right now, and we're moving forward well, on the project. Um, I needed a break. And if you've been watching this series, there was an episode or two where I'd shown the 1937 Dodge 1.5 ton that I'd restored a little while ago, a few years ago, that I use and I drive and all kinds of things like that. But I'd hit a deer with it last summer. And what I need to do is I need to fix the grill. So I took a little bit of a break here to show you what I've done to make a new grill and straighten out the grill shell and fix and patch that thing up and modify it so it looks a little more about what I want it to look like. So, hey, take an opportunity, take a look at this video, throw in your comments, likes, and subscribe. We're only halfway or so through the 1930 build, and I think you're going to like this. You're going to like this commercial break. You're going to like what I'm trying to accomplish here, and I need to hear back from you. I am certainly not perfect, and you see that. If you've been watching this series, you see my mistakes, you see the things that I've done and the things that I'm redoing because I don't like them. So as I go through these builds, hey, thanks for watching again, and I look forward to showing you what I've got here.
Cutting out a couple of jigs to build the grill on the 37. Still having a couple issues, but it'll work fine for jigs. I got a little bit of software issues I need to resolve, but it'll work. That should help you visualize a little better what I'm trying to do. 37 grill. Starting to make sense, isn't it? Well, I ate some supper, had some company over, and then decided I'd start making this grill for the 37. So I bent up these wire frames, 3 of them. You can see one in there. There's another one right there. I bent them with identical sizes. I started on 2 sides and I said, well, wait a minute, let's just get the ends and flip them over and get each piece the same. So down through there you can see the drawing for one side. Bent each one of them, transferred it to an AutoCAD file, then used my plasma table and cut them out. Spaced them 1/2 of an inch, and I was thinking that seems kind of wide, but actually, when you look at it, it looks really good. For a truck grill, anyway. You know, a car grill might want to be a little tighter. And then on a straight-on side view. So, I'll just get them, each one of those tacked to the wires. Top one is in a channel. See the channel? I mean, it'll be setting in the channel, but I'm hitting here and I'm hitting here and all that kind of thing. But it'll be setting in that channel. And I'll tack them, then flip them over and get them in there really good and strong. And then for the rest of it, because when I cut these out, I didn't know where to locate the wires. Because the grill shell, of course, is going to have I'll be cutting some of these shorter, right? Everything's long except for the very center. So I gotta assume the bottom shape of the grill and all that kind of thing. So I at this point, this is a pretty easy one. It doesn't have a lot of shape to it. It is radiused. There's an arc on each side, but it's a relatively gentle arc. I guess you can see it on there. So that's going to work out fine, and that'll go into the 37. And then I'll of course have to do a little body work and get the grill sprayed, but we're on the road to finally finishing that up too. Hello guys. So I got this little spot welded up on here. Now there's a little dolly work and a little weld build, but I'm not worried about that because there's more work. I don't like this. And the grill goes straight across, but I was going to make an emblem for it or some sort of a closeout. I kind of considered maybe coming straight down with a center, form, maybe on the top surface of the bead, but this rope closes in on the bottom, and I could have, I thought about several things, but then I thought I'm just going to cut it out and make a new piece. So I just hammer form this right now and then continue to shrink the top. And so this is gonna go on there, somewhere around there, and close out that bad boy. So I'm gonna work my way back to that. Obviously, to start, I'll cut in the inside and creep up on it, but I got to get this bead out of the way. And there's been a lot of repair. I had welded on this when I originally built the vehicle and straightened it out somewhere in here, right here. I'd welded and put it together, and it looked good and all that. And I had a center rib on it that was part of the grill. The original grill was just a plasma cut horizontal grill, but I never liked it from the beginning. It was too kind of industrial. It looked too goofy. So now I'll begin cutting that out, and just going to take her straight across. Stay tuned. Okay, that's about 5 minutes worth of beating. I mean, you can see I pre-shaped it. Pre-shaped it from the inside, but so now I made this little presentation for you, but I'll have to take it as she lies. So now I gotta slowly eke it in, but I'm covering the cut on the top. It's right behind there. I'm a little too broad here. Whoa. Hold on to her, Freddie. And then she rolls across. It's going to fall again, but so that's the look that I'm after. Going straight across. I will remove that extra material there. So still got a little more working these two sides. This one's starting to get a little better, but she's got to go get pushed a little bit. It should turn out good. I like that. I like that a lot. We'll keep smacking away. Okay, first TIG. I have to dolly it some, but I just wanted to take it down so I could continue to blend on both sides. Got it where I could grab. I did have a little gap, but my line is perfectly straight on both sides. So now I'll continue pulling it in. I do have to pull a little bit, but I think I can tap that as I bring the TIG up. I can tap this in. I am still sitting on top of the sheet metal. I didn't cut that because I might just I might just go straight through because this still has to go in, you know. It'll take up that 40 thou gap on the grinding wheel. So, still happy with it. Still going well. Profile. It's following the grill. If we sight it over the bottom, you can see this is flagging out, but the fact of the matter is that she's gonna set in there right. So just got to keep tapping and welding and tapping and welding, and we will have a modified 32 1.5 ton grill. Okay, moving right along. I hammered and tapped and cut, you know, using the cutoff wheel. My gap is pretty small. I got a little bit of a peak right here, but I got a peak right here. So I got to just kind of dolly around on that right now. I still don't have these welded on. I'm just welded down to there, right? So now I got to tap, 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 tap. I never did cover it. When I made this, it was just a piece of flat, of course, you know. But I did it over my bag. You know, it's gentle. I didn't have to do a big cup, so I just put the metal on top of rags and slowly tapped on it with a crowned hammer and just worked it slow. I took my time and worked it slow. Yeah, there's hammer marks in it. I have to get in there and dolly it, but I was able to establish. And then once I got most of the more flatter surfaces, this is a peak, then I slowly dollied it down until I was touching, you know, all the way around. Then I would slice it, and I'm slicing it always from the top side, because I know as I roll, because I'm rolling that direction, I'm going to be over the top of this material. So then I tapped it a little bit more, you know, because this is a radius. So as soon as I welded this and cut it, I had a little bit of a lift, right? A little bit of a gap, because I'm on the radius and I'm cutting back. And then I tap, 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 and just keep going until I could get a mating surface. So now I'll work this and grind that, and then come down and get those. Okay, I figured I'd show you. Just a minute, we got a weird music going in the background. I just show you real quick before I go and weld the bottom. I finished the top up, but then I just slowly dollied. Now you can see, right? You can see hammer marks in here. That's good. They're not out of control. You can see from the light. I flipped that light on. You know, it peaks right in this area. There, it crowns right in that area. It follows this line. I haven't done nothing, no strange filing or anything. This is coming in, but I got to tap. I got to tap because the top side of that weld is higher. So I'll tap on this side, try to bring that weld up, and then hit it with a flapper and try to get it as much, you know, there's the weld going down, and then it turns here. Try to get as much of that out of there as I can. And then start to just dolly down all these little hammer marks. You know, but I need to weld the bottom, but I wanted to see if I could establish a profile, you know. And she's coming in. She's coming in good. I think it's going to work just fine to recontour that grill. We are almost there. We are almost ready to start metalworking this after I weld that. And then I'll probably say in another video, we are almost there. But, you know, we'll just keep going until we finish this small piece of this whole project. Moving right along. Real quick here. There it is. What a look, huh? That makes one heck of a difference. It's just sitting on a a hammer handle up against the bench, and it's down an inch, and it's sitting down in there and back an inch. But you got to imagine everything's gonna come forward some and stick out like that. So I'm happy with the project, and I'll finish dialing all that up, and then I got to build the mounts, fab up how I'm going to mount the grill into there. I'd like to be able to insert it from the outside, and whether it's screws or with a screwdriver or small socket heads, don't know yet. But boy, that's got a neat profile, and it looks quite factory, and I'm very, very, very happy with it. I'm proud of it. So get out there, guys. Just be creative and figure out how you want to make it look, and just keep going. Just keep going. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the compliments. And thanks for giving me some advice when I needed it the most. Have a great one. All right, guys. Anyway, here's we go. I tapped and hammered as much as I could. I got a couple of low areas, but those are going to easily come out in the surfacing primer. All the hammer marks, you can see there's a little shiny spot right in here, but it feels good. There's going to be nothing in there. That looks good. Got the bead tied in really well, and straighten the hole. There's a little bit I got to work on right there. I can see it. It's the outer edge of the bead, just not rolled right. That is such a job, but I'll get that. This is the side that was hit, and I had to work dents out. You can see an eyebrow there a little bit, and a little bit of heavier sanding here. But this was, you can kind of see where the dent was. Got that out, that telegraphed through. This was cracked, but I dollied all that and got it out. This side there was no damage. So the deer hit was right here, and when I pulled the grill off, found out that it actually pushed it bent the radiator support a little bit. So, but what I did to get this thing dialed in was basically just take a dimension across the bottom and then work my way up, and I could find where the wall was in it. Oh, shadow. Where the wall was in it, and now I'm just visually getting everything kind of dialed in, if you will. And so that dimension then winds up being the same all the way up, and that's what I'm working to achieve. So of course, if these little snippets are back to back, you should be able to see the progress. That's my intent of this video series. Excuse me. So at this point, I'm about ready to start doing the grill mount fab. I'll address that little side there, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now we're looking at the grill. Let me back up just a little bit so we can. Whoa, there we go. So I'm back into the jig. 2 pieces of emery cloth give me, folded over, give me this centered, okay? And so what I did was, I don't know if I explained that, but you can see this is 60, all touching the top, and it's 60 thou out, or it's 60 thou wide, or it's 9/16 basically, rather than a half of an inch. Pardon me. It's 5/16 rather than a quarter of an inch. So that enables me to allow this to move a little bit, but also get it the heck out of there. And I made shims, which I was looking for, right there. Just 18 gauge, which is 50 thou. But I can stick those in the side as I'm working my way down. This is the one that kind of oofed up a little bit. where I had to cut it out, but of course it didn't bother me because I put it up against the side there and put a shim in there. I wasn't going to remake the piece. And I went and laid it in, centered it up, and then this tapers up and down. It forms a bit of a triangle. So that I just marked up above the bead here. I just marked on the fins there, the rails. I marked that line, and then I just cut off the nubs, you know, the little small amount with the cutoff wheel. And right now I just basically tacked the wire on. And I'm going to work my way down that then to lock in the top as I place my shims in again on the bottom side of each one of these. Those go. But I'll get to some where there's a tight one, you know, where I'm just pushing them all to the top side. So that's the journey, and I'll finish tack welding this up. Then the grill place will fit into the shell. I might have to tweak it a little, you know, when you weld. You see I have it strapped. When you weld it, causes, you know, I'm welding on this side, so it's causing it to open a little bit. But I want to hold it to the form of the jig, so I'm strapping it down. And I'll tack these on now. Alright, so I did waste some time because I measured, I don't know what I was thinking, but I had 5/8 of an inch gap on either side here. But with a 1/2 inch spacing and a 1/4 inch bead, I'm going 3/4. So now those just set up in the in the bead, just setting it in there. So now I have to cut those off, but it gave me information. So at this point, I'll cut that wire off flush with each side, that center wire. I'm not touching here because it's there, because this projects out some. And once I get that off, these will set back. So I'll just space it just slightly back of the grill. I'll get my bend in it after I lay it in, right? It's got to lay in. And then I'll identify if I need to do any adjustments to the shape, which of course will be easy. If I'm doing it right here, I'll translate that all the way down to each of those wires. It'll be very minor. Well, we'll find that out, won't we? But that's it. I've got to run to work. But at this point then, those will just be cleaned off. And I just hope that doesn't project too far. I mean, I've looked and looked and looked, but I'm way in behind, and I got 3/8 of an inch to project out, but we're looking at that. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But at this point, it's looking good. I just got to cut these off. Then I'll make the mounting and get it finished off. Hey guys. Okay, so I didn't like the closeout on the side. Remember that 3/4 of an inch? So I'm gonna go ahead and TIG that. You can see the seam right here. And that's where I put on 2 returns on each side of the grill. It does a couple of things for me. Of course, it adds some structure, which is good, right? But it also does a nice side hide, you know, where it's just slightly above the rail, so it closes it out. The color, you know, when this is all done, the finish will close out that side. That's my theory. And then I marked the top and the bottom on the center. In this case, this has a center rib, and I'm dead center on there, getting the camera angle correct there. Then I quick bent up a bracket, threaded it, screwed 2 screws in, and tacked him on the bottom. This has already been centered and then tacked. I'm going to these are all factory mounts on the bottom, and then I'll establish a location here. This bottom pan, I verified that comes out that goes in, so I can reach these. Actually, the grill could be put in from the bottom. I do want to be able to place it in from the outside of the grill for convenience. These will likely be cap screws, but of course you can't get your hand in there, so no matter what, I'll have to put these 4 screws in at the from underneath. At the top here, I'm still kind of thinking through this, but at the top here, I think what I'm going to do is kind of come up off of the grill, weld a piece onto the grill, and come in with a screw from the front, where I just come in and do an alignment. And everything on here, of course, is for the factory is slotted, and I too will slot these holes in the vertical sense and probably open them. So I'll put a screw in with a washer, so I've got a little bit of movement. I probably won't need side-to-side movement because I am centering it. But you know, when I get to that point, I'll kind of take those considerations. So again, the grill will come in. There will be enough room up here so I can come in and slide up, you know, move around, have enough wiggle room until the bracket sits down in there, and then it'll be level with the bracket. So, but I guess the point is that I won't put it flush on the top of this. I'll put it up from this, so that anywhere else along this rail, I will have some room until the bracket will be flush with it, right? You know, beyond the bracket that's attached to this, there will be space to move a little bit, not a lot. You know, if a 1/4 of an inch is there, that would be a lot, but just enough to get the grill up in there. So there's where I'm at. All right, guys. So the center, tack. The nice thing about this whole thing right now so far, see how that's just inside of that 3rd rail, just inside of that 3rd rail. These 2 parts were made, sandwiched, and ground together. They're identical. So it gives me confidence as I'm building through the grill, you know, through the process. It gives me confidence that, you know, I've centered it, but that I've got symmetry. You know, and if there's minor iterations, you know, there's a little rise there, there's a little rise there, it clips right at the corner there, it clips right at the corner there. You know, we're talking fractions, but of course tolerances stack, but the reality is that I know I'm right there. I mean, visually it's going to be right there. So now I have to build the top section. As I mentioned, a couple of brackets. Obviously that's plenty strong to carry the vertical load. This grill is relatively heavy, you know, going back and just reflecting. One of these, those are the pieces I cut off, but one of these, this is 1/4 inch. This part wasn't ground or cleaned up, but this is 1/4 inch and it's 3/8 wide. That's not a lot in terms of weight for that, but you kind of consider, you know, growing those 3/8 times 25 pieces across, and it came out to about 15 pounds. I mean, the grill isn't light by any stretch. It isn't super duper heavy, but it's beefy. I just imagine the next time I hit a deer making a whole bunch of sliced meat out of it. But no, I'm not being vindictive. But the thing is, we do have a pretty beefy grill. So making progress. Hey, you can see the tack welds here and here, and it's sitting out. There, and there. Okay, on the bottom, just as a friendly reminder. They screw together right through the here and here, and you can see I got slots in there just to get it centered. Now that I have it centered, I noticed this is a little off. This gap is bigger than this. So I welded it up here a little bit off center. It sights, if I stand back, you can see it pretty plain now. From here up. So when I got to pull it out and take that, break those tacks and just eke it over a little bit. The beauty of the jig, is that it holds everything centered. But remember the shims, the shims that I had to place in so I could remove it from the jig. Well, I used 2 pieces of paper because it had to be half the thickness on this side, half on that side, and something happened. But it's isolated to that, so I'll move that over. I mean, is it perfectly isolated to that? That looks like she creeps a little. Maybe there. So I'll take it, I'll measure those. But it's right at the top. It's just everything pulled, and we'll get that addressed. Not a big deal. The other thing that I did was I marked that with Sharpie, and the same thing on the bottom there and there. And the reason is that those are coming in contact with the grill. So at that Sharpie line back, I'm going to shave her down. I've already got it set for those to be, the depth is already done for where the grill sets in there. But now I'll clearance that so she doesn't squeak, rattle, chip paint, all the kinds of things that will happen if I don't. So those will just taper in so they're not in contact with the grill. But other than that, everything else, it's nice and close, but nothing's touching on the top and on the bottom and on the top. So you can actually see light through there. There's that top rail. Straight on, even down low at that height, you can just get a hint of that 3/16 rod. And of course, once it's all painted out, that's fine. That's pretty standard fare. If you've looked at grills from this generation, they got the bands going across. So very happy with it. So I'll touch those few things up, fit it, take it in and out, get comfortable with it. If everything works out right, zip those on, all the tacks, and call this project ready to paint. So very happy. All right, I have the brackets fully welded inside and outside. If I can get it up. Weld those from the front, top and bottom. This from the back. These on the inside. I took and incorporated this flange in, and then I put a tack every inch, but I had some tacks in there. But basically those are all on then. They are flush with the sides. Come on. That kind of thing. Oh. And then I also, down in the corners, so then I took these and then I radiused them off because they go underneath the grill. I don't want them hitting. And did the same thing on the bottom. The grill, I marked where the grill comes up. I think you saw that in the last video. Then I just generally cleaned it up. It needs to be, sandblasted or something like that. Just to. I use coal slag for blasting. It does take mill scale off, and it's pretty soft, but it does take mill scale off. Gets me where I want to go. And then I fully welded those around the circumference, inside and out, except for right there. Gosh damn it. Because then after that, of course, I cleaned up the outside. It did suck the metal in a couple of spots. Other than that, it's fine. You know, I can't ding those out because I have that. There you can kind of see. You can kind of see in the shadows there. I tried to tap it a little bit, but I'm right at the bracket here. This is the bracket weld. And so that's going to need a little bit of filler. No big deal. This one came out beautiful. It's got one little spot there, but I mean, it came out beautiful. So now it's probably in the phase where what? Oh, I got to dolly out a little bit of these things. You know, that's where they bolt to. I'm just going to punch those back to the surface. There isn't a whole heck of a lot left to wrap up on him. So I'll just straighten a few things out and we'll get it ready for paint. That was a really fun project. And thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.